people. We will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
And with the Pearl Harbor attack, the U.S. entered World War II, and tens of thousands of young men that grew up with Smilin' Jack, Tailspin Tommy, Eddie Rickenbacker, Billy Bishop, and Biggles rushed to the recruiters to fly for the Air Corps. But they weren't ready. Fortunately, Hap Arnold, chief of the Air Corps, had known this and made contracts with several civilian organizations. Schools like Embry-Riddle, Spartan School of Aeronautics, and another owned by a longtime U.S. aerobatic champion. Tex Rankin had started the Rankin Aeronautical Academy in Tulare, California. They had employed a civilian instructor with military check section. Over 10,000. Serial number 2178488 showed up there in July of 1943, looking as she does before you. Contrary to the January of 1943 tech order changing the Air Corps design from the classic blue and yellow to an all-silver fleet, Tex put the yellow band around the fuselage and a chevron along the top wing because of the perpetual haze in the San Joaquin Valley. Stearman was the standard training aircraft for the Army Air Corps and the Navy during World War II. There were a few other types given the PT, primary trainer designation, but none came close to the numbers saw by the Stearman. Over 10,600 airframes were built by Stearman Aircraft and Boeing for most Allied nations. The Army Air Corps, U.S. Navy, and British Commonwealth all utilized the Stearman in various parts of their training curriculum. Powered by either a 220 horsepower Continental, a 225 horsepower Lycoming, or a 300 horsepower Jacobs, it had various different service designations. Many of these aircraft were scrapped or sold as surplus after the war, as in 1945 the Air Corps had moved to a new model of training in which students started in the T-6 rather than a lower-powered airframe. The model found a new home in several different aerial applications, and hundreds, if not thousands, were sold off to become crop dusters. Some were lent to foreign nations to help rebuild their military aviation branch after the war, which is what happened to Matt's Bat. The student or cadet back then would have gone through primary flight training in this model. Well, the Stearman wouldn't do much. What she did do, she did well. Straight and level, climbs, turns, and descents. Agile enough to teach aerobatics and tough enough for them to mess up, especially the landings, which is why the landing gear is built like a tank. The airframe, being the mid-1930s design, is very simple and easy to repair for when the students did go a little too far. registered as a private aircraft being the U.S., but instead was sent to the Philippines to help reconstitute their Air Force after the losses incurred by the Japanese. There she stayed until sold off to a Filipino civilian in 1995 when she was taken apart. Eventually, my family found her in 2017, having made her way back to the United States. She was just a bunch of pieces back then and not at all complete. Before they left the Stearman, the cadets, besides being taught the basic straight and level flight, climbs, turns, and descents, were also taught formation flying, cross-country navigation, night flying, and the aerobatics you see before each day. No matter what they flew later, all much heavier, a lot faster, and more powerful, from P-51s to B-17s to C-47s. This was the portal they all passed through first. But not every cadet got to fly the airframe they had planned on. The Museum of the Forgotten Warrior that operates Max Bat is dedicated to all those fighter pilots that became transport pilots, to all those expectant young combat pilots who became instructors, all those dreams and plans foiled by the needs of the service. They still did their part to protect the mind.
Okay? So if you can see me up here, there's a little snow fence area, this orange fence area, and I will ask another question. And Lindy's got, what, 3 or 4? 3 of these little airplanes, cool little die-cast airplanes. Actually, they're not really die-cast, more like tin. You can hang them on your Christmas tree, play with them, do whatever you wish. Kind of cool. That being said, she's got 3 of those, and I am going to ask a trivia question. Kids, you ready? If you were listening at all, you heard this one. We just performed with an airplane on the runway. This particular airplane is a what? What is it called? A something.